over the last 24 hours or so and spent some time. But I think this session is going to be really exciting, fun, knowledge, lots of things all in one, because we are looking at someone who's traversed a career in as a radio jockey, as a journalist. He's a graduate from St. Stephen's College, but also a Martian, and some of you may wonder what that is. So comes from Lucknow, which is itself a colorful city, gives you a sort of a very varied background, perspectives, insights. So we have with us today someone who will let you know what he will talk about. We've gone through a few iterations of what we would like him to speak, but we really don't want to take anything away from there. So please put your hands together for Akash Banerjee. This is going to be absolutely wonderful. Akash, welcome.
Not stand, can I not stand here? वो थोड़ा सा ऊपर नीचे वाला हो जाता है. So that's why I think I took this also. This is much better. Thank you for the audience that is here. This is beyond my expectations because मुझे लग रहा था सब लोग wine tasting पर ही directly आएंगे. So thank you for at least taking out some time. I hope to make it worthwhile for you. So there were iterations of what one was supposed to talk. So just to give you a little context and how I hope to add value to your lives over the next 45 minutes. What I am capable of and what I specialize in is surviving on social media. I'm not even going to tom-tom about the fact that what I do, there's a platform, it's called Deshbhakt. We comment on politics and society. We are anti-establishment in nature. That is lost out on people because in India, you can't be anti-establishment without being for somebody, working for somebody, some party, Soros, CIA, etc., etc. But we navigate those minefields and talk about what is essential, what is required, what the mainstream media doesn't. And because the mainstream media doesn't, we talk about a lot of issues. And we've been able to garner about 8 million followers across 4 different social media platforms without spending 1 paisa. It's not the followers that we are proud of. It's the fact that we've been able to build a brand called the Deshbhakt without spending 1 rupee, 1 paisa. And till now we've been able to avoid an Allahabadia. I mean, we have been able to avoid FIRs and we've been able to avoid cases is because we have some sort of a deep understanding of what really works on social media, what doesn't, what are the boundaries, what you should be doing, what you should not be doing, how to check your back, what is defamation, and what is reputational damage. So the crux that I want to convey to you, and I would really hope that we can have this more as a conversational than as a one-sided gyan that's coming out, is how would you want to take your name to the next level? How would you want to take your brand to the next level in a very volatile field called social media where your brand can get destroyed in a day, one wrong post and you will be in hot water and your reputation can suffer as an individual, as a company. So I'm just going to give you 1 or 2 talking points that I have in my mind, and then I would really, really hope that you can throw some uncomfortable questions to me, because that's what we keep saying on Deshbhakt is question everything. And I really hope to add value on your social media knowledge, social media grasp, reach, and how you can, of course, extend your brand and profit from social media. Mind you, we've been able to handle a team, take out a team of 6+ people, full-time, 6 freelancers, 12 people, on a very volatile space of Indian politics. So we really know and we see people mint crores of rupees who are not doing news, who are doing entertainment and who are doing merchandise. And we've seen people fall off also who rose very quickly and then disappeared into nothingness. So there was a very interesting headline that I once read is viral at 19, irrelevant at 21. So even if you take your brand to the next level, and there is a very, very so-called popular founder who prided himself on Doglapan and ramped himself up to a very high degree and then suddenly fell off the cliff. So how do you prevent that reputational damage and how do you not become a has-been within, say, 1 year or 2 years? The good examples that immediately come into my mind, and I would like to take, I mean, here I can definitely take names of the good examples. Nikhil Kamath is a very good example. Now, why does Kamath manage to do what he does? Why is it that he, if you see, he will not get into controversies, but on the same side, you will not see him overtly being subservient to any side also? Is because one thing that he does brilliantly, and that's why I think people want to watch him out, watch his podcast, listen to his posts, is he comes across as a very honest person who's giving value. So today he will tweet, and in his tweet he will say that this is the kind of volumes that we are witnessing. Today's stock market crash has resulted in the lowest transacted volumes that we have seen on the platform since we started 15 years ago. So there is an honest admission that he is doing that the volumes have completely dramatically gone down in the market without being very, very negative or very, very alarmist also. So he balances his business side and his persona very well in terms of getting the information out. So I would like to listen to him, watch out for his posts for that. Sanjeev Goenka, one of the very few businessmen who would be a little critical of the government, but without actually going ahead and abusing or sounding as if he's belonging to some other party. So that's another very good example that I can think of where you can be an industrialist and also comment. On the other side of the spectrum, you have people who will just simultaneously combust themselves online and without any thought process ruin their reputation and their company's reputation. And one thing that I would like to say to you, and this is one thing that I've learned from politicians, big businessmen, is that who you respond to on social media is very, very critical. And this basically turns the whole idea of social media completely on its head. Basically, social media has been told to us is that it's a two-way street and it's a town hall and it's a conversation. Those people who are actually able to exploit social media to the hilt don't think about social media like this. They don't think it is necessary for them to justify themselves and talk about themselves or answer every Tom, Dick, and Harry who comes in questions. They use it as a one-sided tool largely. And I'll give you the exclamation conditions apply also. If you are able to use social media as a one-way tool and you bulletproof your point of view. So first and foremost, as an individual or as a company, you have to put out content, A, that is either entertaining, which I don't think we are interested in this room is because we are not stand-up comedians. We can hire them. You are delivering value, you're delivering interest, and you want to bulletproof it. And this is how, so I'm just explaining this to you is because I have a character called Banerjee, who is an extremely right-wing character who bashes Akash. How did that character come into being? Because I used to do my tweets and I used to think, how is it going to be attacked? So one way you should always think about your tweets is, how is this going to be taken out of context? How is this going to be weaponized? How is this going to be misinterpreted? If I can give you one advice on your personal or your brand safety online, just think about the tweet that you're going to post and think about it from your competitor's point of view. How is your competitor, your rival, going to take that tweet and going to weaponize it against you? And believe you me, because we think social media is the most of my errors in my 10 years of social media existence, most of the errors that I've done on tweeting on social media are the tweets that I have done impromptu right at the moment. A recent example, I was watching the India-Pakistan match and I said, wow, 50 crores, 50 crore people are watching it, amazing. Because I had, in my subconscious, what Hotstar used to earlier do. They used to do a live counter. So that was how it was. But then when Jio took it over, they were doing it cumulative views. So it was not 50 crores watching at one point of time. In their algorithm, it is 50 crores who have watched, maybe even for 1 minute, come back, even that is counted as a view. So obviously I was corrected. So think, stop, validate what you want to post. It's not a thing that you do immediately all the time, especially when there is brand and then when there is reputation that you have to think about. And then once you have bulletproofed it, then you push it out. There'll always be people who will be critical. And I think this is what stops people from going onto social media because they are so scared about negative stuff being said about them. And it will always be. You put a picture of a cat, you put a picture of a 2-day-old baby also, there'll be people who want to say negative things about you. Do not worry about that, because what is happening is you're taking any and every feedback very seriously. That's not what social media is telling you. You are pushing out your point of view. As long as that point of view is correct, logical, factual, not lies, not hate, and it is bulletproofed, then let a few people fume and rant over it. That's absolutely okay. Problem happens is when you start engaging, and there you land up in this vicious cycle of trying to defend yourself. So avoid doing that. In terms of brand, one or two examples really stick out, and maybe you can do this with AI, with chatbots. Airtel used to do it in its heydays. I don't know if it happens now. I have had Airtel solve my problems on DM, not telephoning them. So what I think Airtel did, and this is what Indigo did. I'm not very proud to say this, but I think what they do is that they track social media movement and they track high value social media people, and then they will address those problems ASAP. Now, how is it that why is it that they're doing it? Is because they are saving their reputation from the high value social media negative commentary that might happen. I've had my landline broadband shifted by Airtel in 3 hours. I do not think how that can be possible. If I had to go through the normal thing of calling them and saying that मैं shift करने वाला हूँ, फिर वो बोलेगा paper दो. So there's something that is going on, but they are getting the goodwill. Indigo used to do it in its heydays very well. They used to track people who are high value and solve their problems. So the point is, I really think that in India, what has happened is either we have become so scared of social media that we don't want to touch it, or we see it as a sure shot way of spoiling reputation. So let's stay away from it. हमारा कोई नाम ही नहीं लेगा, हम तो present ही नहीं है, तो फिर हमारे बारे में कोई बात नहीं करेगा. I really think the balance is somewhere in the middle. You cannot not engage. You have to ensure that what am I getting out of this, and how do I get it in a very foolproof way. And I can tell you, after having done social commentary and political commentary, it is possible to survive on social media. It is possible to thrive on social media. All we have to do is to foolproof and check ourselves. I think that's where a lot of us get it wrong. And I'm very happy to answer specific questions and situations, because I think one thing that we really underestimate is when there is some sort of crisis that happens and how social media can come into play. Crisis management mein there is no better way than social media. Any rumor against you or your brand, any negative news against you or your brand, if you have a social media presence, you will be able to slaughter that negativity within hours, if not minutes. This is something that stars have now come to understand. They are using their social media presence to negate any sort of paparazzi fake news within seconds by saying that this is false news, end of story. So that shows that even celebs have understood the power of social media. Now imagine if industry, individuals, businessmen have that power, it can be leveraged to a whole new level. And I think there is no escaping from it. I think this is here to stay. And I think, like it or not, you will have to get involved. Finally, before I open it up to questions, one thing is this whole debatable thing is who is doing social media. My suggestion to you is do not outsource your own personal social media presence to a random company. Your company account can be outsourced, which is giving humdrum, dry updates. Industry में युवा, company में क्या हुआ. Social media में your own personality comes out. So what the smarter ones are doing is they are tweeting what they want. They're sending it to somebody that they trust. It is usually in-house, and then it gets pushed out. So there is a level of filter. What happens is, I think India may, there are a few again, I don't want to name names, but there are a few very popular startup guys who think they're Elon Musk and that they can tweet anything under the sun and they can get away with it. It doesn't happen, because to be an Elon Musk, you must have crores of people who are just lapping up everything that you're saying, and you're sending up rockets to space and your cars are dominating the market. So I think we should not think of that level. Think about how we can leverage this with full knowledge that this can be weaponized against us. I mean, those are the basic lay of the ground. I would be very happy to answer specific questions because I work better as a question answer person than one-sided gyan. Sure.
So Akash, one of the predicaments of social media is that brings your personality out,
Yeah.
right? Now, if I'm a business person, there is a certain aspect of my personality that I want to expose on social media, right? Might have to do with my company, right? I don't want to necessarily make a public figure out of myself by talking about the government, the religion, 50 other topics that as a citizen my interest lies. Now, if you don't do that, that takes away the authenticity from you, or does it?
Okay.
And how do you scope your social media presence?
I think that's where it's a very, very valid question. I'll give you, and I'll answer that first with an example. So Zomato is this very interesting character that I found. Deepender's tweets are very cut, humdrum, dry updates. And it shows that his nature is not anything flamboyant or something like that. But in the initial, and I know that they don't have the social media manager that they used to have earlier, but in the initial time when Zomato was really coming into the public focus, they really had a great social media team. And it has been reflected a lot in their hoardings and all also. And remember, there was this whole controversy over this food and non-veg and veg. And they came out with one tweet. And imagine it sticks in your mind for so long that it's not about, it's not, I'm forgetting the exact line, but it's not about the food. Food is religion. So when you take a debate over veg, non-veg and make it above religion, I think that shows how you can deal with a controversy in a very classic manner, in a very classy manner. Was it done by Dipender himself? No, it was done by a social media team. I think that is where a businessman needs to take a very clear call, is that I am not everything, and this is what I can do, and this is what I can't. In the same way that we have PR managers, what prevents us from having social media managers, in-house social media managers, to whom I can have a rain check, I can double check, and then I can put it out. So I think a cut and dry, Nikhil's tweets are cut and dry. They are not anything flamboyant. They're value additions. So I think what a founder or a CEO needs to think of is, how is my output going to be seen as? Am I going to be seen as a value, educator, industry leader? Or am I going to be seen as this sort of a fire starter, or some sort of a fanboy of the administration? What happens is, when they haven't calibrated that, they come across either as fire starters or they come across as appeasers. I think in the long run, it doesn't work. In the long run, this gets called out. Just like a cut and dry approach will also get called out. But it is better to be cut and dry rather than being on either sides of the aisle. It's not going to do good to your business. I haven't seen it do good to anyone. Yeah.
So I have a objective, action-driven question. In the US, when you try and build your persona online as a business, founders are given a lot of responsibility. Like we know Sir Richard Branson, I mean, the brand, the personal brand kind of lifted Virgin, and anything he did kind of, flew with it. So in the US, the system's well established. If you want to target an ICP that you believe your companies are going to cater to for a while,
Correct.
you create content for that persona. In India, we spoke about Ashneer Grover, or I mean, through Doglapan and all of that.
No names, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, the point is that you have to go broad, otherwise you don't get the eyeballs. The content consumption, we know the algorithms talk about entertainment, dance, Bollywood, devotion, cricket, to be the top tier.
True.
So if you're trying to build a persona targeted audience, like Thai would want to target entrepreneurs, right? The eyeballs are going to be so less, which we all face a struggle with. And we don't want to dabble in comedy, we don't want to dabble in entertainment. What's your take on it? I mean, what do we do to kind of gain the larger eyeball share?
So again, not to name names, but I don't think the way to handle that situation would be founders are doing dancing Instagram reels. I'm sorry, Mama. I am sorry. That is definitely not how things are supposed to happen. So you have, and I was looking at it with shock and awe, is that here is this company that is going for IPO, and the founders are doing Instagram dancing reels. It may work in the short run. I am sure it doesn't work in the long run, is because ultimately you are going to be seen for the company that you are. Richard Branson, again, exception. Elon Musk, exception. But I'm sure all his flamboyance couldn't take Virgin Galactic beyond a certain point of time, beyond the orbit. I would still say is that we have to look at it a little analytically rather than think that we are superstars. I do not know why, and I have to find this answer. I do not understand why CEOs, and especially new age CEOs, suddenly think that they are the influencers. I know that there is a little bit of a fanboy thing happening with CEOs, understood, appreciated. But not everybody is a stand-up guy. As Ranveer Elabadia understood, that podcaster hu main bhai, don't try to be a stand-up guy. He tried to be, he fell on his face. I really think that this understanding is going to creep in better. I think a lot of CEOs have got carried away because they got a lot of instant fame and they got called by 5 colleges and they thought that they could give gyan. But please remember, social media is also brutal in that sense. It remembers everything. So when your company is not going to do well, all your gyan is going to be dug up and then be put with the company reports also. So I believe that yes, there would be pressures to put yourself out there to serve, but then I would say then go, I think on social media also we'll go back to the age of then we'll have to get a Virat Kohli, we'll have to get a Priyanka Chopra to put your brand up, rather than filling the gap yourself and saying, मैं ही बल्ला पकड़ लेता हूँ, मैं ही विराट कोहली हूँ, मैं ही प्रियंका चोपड़ा हूँ, मैं ही डांस कर लेता हूँ. I think that was a bit of a situation. I think it's going to go down if CEOs have to understand that it's damaging them in the long run. I think more sustained, balanced, value-based approach is going to happen more. I mean, I might be sounding a little oldish here and unclish here, but I have not seen somebody deliver the sparkle and continue with it. I'll give you another example. Let's talk about Elon Musk. Look at what his social media activity is resulting in the other part of the world. In Europe, his car sales are taking a direct hit only basis on the fact of what he's saying on social media. So he's servicing the American customer, but his European customers are also getting very peeved. So I think the business aspect has to be taken care of, and you will have to walk the central line. Otherwise, you will get squashed. Yeah.
You know, when maybe in the 90s or maybe sometime around that time, the same thing was said about film stars, you know, that in olden days, there used to be a hero or a heroine in a picture, and then there used to be these other people who were dancers, like a Helen, for example. So she would do the item number. Then came these actresses who were delivering the item numbers themselves, and they were quite successful. So if there is a founder who can do this also and be flamboyant also, it may be possible in the same way.
The only problem happened is when the actresses started doing the item number, the acting got left somewhere. So then it became the item numbers only who were the heroines. Just roughly juxtaposing that, my understanding is that it's not like in olden times, it's not like CEOs didn't speak well. There were many CEOs who spoke well. There were many CEOs who wrote books. There were many CEOs who gave talks. Not everybody, but there were few. I think what has happened is because social media came up so fast, maybe there was pressure internally also that this is a quick way to get the eyeballs. But I would say it is the same thing about being a public speaker, CEO, being a writer, CEO, being a social media CEO. Some may crack it, but I haven't seen too many successful examples of CEOs being flamboyantly open on social media and sustaining it. Is because, you see, what happens is when you speak your mind and you don't have stuff to back it up. And Narayan Murthy, I mean, imagine the reputation. I mean, he's not even active on social media. But look at what is happening to Narayan Murthy's reputation with just the 70-hour comment. Because people are then juxtaposing that with the fact that your starting salaries have largely remained same over the last 10 years, and you are telling us to work 70 hours. Nobody has a problem with working 70 hours. So this calling out that hadn't happened earlier to CEOs, I think this calling out is going to happen a lot more. The kind of scrutiny that the CEO would have had was only in a ballroom or a director's meeting, is if he is now going to speak freely, is going to happen across social media. Even if you're not on the social media yourself, you will be open to scrutiny. As L&T's chairman would also tell you that every other statement, at a very basic level, what he was saying is true. There might be people who are not willing to work. There might be people who are not willing to move. But then it will be called out in the sense of how much are you paying them to move? While it is also true that Gen Z is a problem, there are many CEOs who are also coming on record and saying that we don't hire Gen Zs at this point of time, so which is also true. But you'll have to be ready for the blowback.
Akash, I want to ask, how do you balance the approach of creating content that you're putting out? One is your creative freedom, the content you are passionate about.
Yeah.
And one is understanding conducting an audience research, that what does the audience actually want to know? So how does that match happen, and how do you balance that?
That's a very good point, and I think this is why social media is so different from mainstream traditional media. From a business perspective, from a creator perspective, whichever perspective you might want to look at it, creating content or putting out your point of view on social media is much simpler, is because if you want to know what is working, what is being consumed, and what people want, it is the most transparent medium. Because when I put out an episode, for example, on YouTube, or when I tweet out something, I will be able to know who saw it, how many people saw it, how many people retweeted it, how many people engaged with it. On YouTube, I will be told men or women, which part of the globe, how long did they see the content. That gives you a granular understanding of what people are wanting. So I would always say there are two ways of social media. One is just give out crap and all your Insta dance and reels. On the other is give out information. The information requirement is huge right now. People are grasping to know. While it is so sad to see the kind of semi-porn that is going on social media, but the knowledge base that people want to increase, the aspirational value, the hunger for knowledge is huge. If you are putting out this kind of information, you will be able to track it real time. A businessman can track it real time. Educator can track it real time. Even an entertainer can track it real time. What sort of content worked? What did not work? How long did it work for? Where did it work for? Urban, rural, all of this can be tracked. So I think anybody wanting to explore social media should not go with the mind space of कि मैंने ये सोचा है तो ये ठीक है, यही लोगों के पास जाना चाहिए. You have to open your mind and see what are the people, how many comments came on this versus how many comments came on that. What are the people asking? I mean, I can build a lot of our episodes are actually built on the questions that were asked in the previous episode, because we know which way the tilt is going. So studying consumer analytics is huge at this point of time on social media. Ab wine pee le? Acha,
I want to ask about bias, because how do you consume data, and because each platform has its own way of suggesting the news articles. How do you manage different chains of thought, and how do you manage bias across political thought as well as general insight?
So I'll split that answer into two, because, okay, happy to discuss a lot more politics over drinks. On the political side, and my advice to you guys is, because facts are not facts, as said by a very famous director, we are living in the post-fact world anyways. You will get a lot of facts which would suit your own bias. So you want to be positive, you'll get positive news. You'll want to get negative, you'll get negative news. But I would still be a little old world and believe that there are certain facts which are facts. The fact that the Indian stock market today has sunk to a continuous 5-month low, which is beating a 28-year-old record, is a fact. I can't be positive or negative about it. It's a fact. I think what has happened is we've stopped respecting the ultimate true fact. Now we can say, नहीं नहीं ये तो ठीक है, अब इसमें कम hurt होगा, कल ठीक हो जाएगा, कल ठीक हो भी सकता है. लेकिन भाई 28 साल में the largest continuous drop of the stock market has happened. Now we have to ask, why has it happened? Is this a macro issue? Is this just a dip in the market? Should we just buy it and be happy for tomorrow? Or is it fact? I was reading Devina Mehra's book on investing, and we just interviewed her, First Global. The returns from the stock market from 2001 to 2010 was 17.85%. The returns of the stock market from 2011 to 2020, on an average every year, was 8.8%. तो वो तो FD के रेट से थोड़ा ज़्यादा ही हुआ था. So what tells us that this decade might be any better or any worse? I don't know. But you have to consider these facts. So that is one. There would be bias. I think there is bias in all of us. A lot of people say, "Arey, tum biased ho." I said, "Of course I am biased. I am biased towards the constitution. I am biased towards the weaker. I am biased towards the underprivileged. There would be a lot of people who would be biased towards the stronger. There would be biased towards the more muscular. That's okay. As long as you know where your bias stands. My bias, I'm very clear where I stand. As long as you're okay and you are okay to sleep at night where your bias is, I'm absolutely okay. Then the best compliment, I'll tell you what we get is, I don't agree with you, but you have a point. That is the best compliment somebody can give you, is because the person doesn't agree with you, but has the guts or balls or at least understanding of at least watching you. I think even if you have bias, have the courage to listen to the other side also. That will give you a 360-degree perspective. There was a time when PTV used to come into India, and my father used to switch on to Pakistan TV. I said, क्या कर रहे हो आप? Pakistan TV देख रहे हो? यार ये तो देखें, ये लोग हमारे बारे में क्या बोल रहे हैं? And it is very interesting to see what they have to say. So, as long as you open your field of view, and I'll tell you, I mean, maybe controversial, maybe not. The people of Pakistan absolutely have no problems with the people of India. It is the Pakistani deep state, the Pakistani army that is the problem. Even people of Pakistan agree with that and they curse their government. If you really have to solve the India-Pakistan problem, Mr. Modi had actually said it once, I want to speak directly to the people of Pakistan. That's the only way to solve this problem. Speak to them directly. They don't have any problem. I've been to there twice. The first question a Pakistani will ask, "Aap kahan se hain?" They'll say, "Mera ताल्लुक वहां से है." They'll try to find out their roots between where you are and the... So that gives you an understanding. Ki yaar, everything is not so easy. Everything is not so black and white. There are so many shades of gray. And ultimately what you have to find out is, how am I doing? How is the country doing? Are we growing as a country? Are we following the constitution? I think those are the basic facts that I would like to stick to. After that, of course, biases we'll all have. And on the business side, stay away from biases. Bottom line, I'm saying it loud and clear. For a guy who comments on politics and society, but I have keen interest in business, I do not think businesses should really get into, in polarized situations, in polarized times, get into this side or that side. I really think businesses should run ethically. They should run as much away from taking political sides as possible. I'm not saying that they should go the unethical way, but they should try to be as ethical without going into political sides, is because we live in very polarized times.
Just a quick
Yeah.
follow-up. Do you feel different platforms have the way they recommend?
Oh yeah.
I see.
Okay, so I mean, just for your overall consumption, depending on where you want to be and you want to harness your brand or your personal brand on social media, Instagram is one of the fastest growing social media platforms at this point of time. You try Twitter versus Instagram, there is no competition today. Although Musk would like to tell you that, no, we are growing very well, etc., it's Instagram. People are building businesses. People are building their brands on Instagram. So if you're small, if you're nimble, if you have any unique, and I might have forgotten this point, but one key can I please tell you, if you really want to make a mark, what is the one unique thing that you can offer? A unique insight, as Rajan was saying in the morning, a unique talent, a unique ability. Please don't bring in dancing here. Besides that, वो बहुत है, बहुत लोग के पास है. But you know, it's a funny thing. I always used to think, how is this guy going to do on Instagram? And my team used to say, "नहीं, post तो करो. Let's see." We cracked 1 million on Instagram without any dancing, without any pictures, without any vacation pictures, without any family pictures. How did that happen? So while there is a lot of vulgarity on Instagram, it so turns out is that there is huge space in the platform for automobile journalists, for business content creators, for growth, advice, English. What is it that you're offering on Instagram? Think about that, or on social media. Twitter is largely news driven. So that's a place like people like us. News is like crack for us. We are addicted to it. उसके बिना रह नहीं सकते. So Twitter is a lot more. 70% of the consumption on Twitter is news related. So if you are in the news space, or you have a brand which is related to the news space, or you want to create something which is related to the news space, then Twitter is the space for you. If you want to create education, knowledge content, nothing better than YouTube. Because I don't regard YouTube as a social media platform. It's more than a social media platform. It's an education platform. It's a channel. Why? Is because the consumption time is huge. Happy to say our average view time on Deshbhakt is about 7.5 to 8.5 minutes per video. That is a huge thing for a channel to accomplish, where Instagram reels of 1 minute is taking over the world. So if you have in-depth content, in-depth perspective, then YouTube is the place that you want to be in. Facebook is if you want to really appeal to the 45 plus age bracket, then I think Facebook is there. I think their whole approach, this marketing, targeted marketing, I think somewhere down the line, the next generation has completely lost its faith as far as Facebook is concerned. So it's more of the older generation at this point of time, 35, 40 plus, that you want to appeal to, you would want to go to Facebook. We are not seeing any growth on Facebook at this point of time. I hope that helps. Oh, yeah. I don't personally do LinkedIn, but whenever I have put in an insight, I completely agree. On the business perspective, it's huge. I haven't used as much of it, but absolute respect for what LinkedIn has done in terms of being able to network. When I put a job posting, I get quality folks reach out to me. So I think in terms of being able to hire, in terms of ability to look for work, in terms of, the only problem with LinkedIn is, see, what happens on social media, everybody over leverages it. So everybody is now giving gyan, ki, oh, today, this morning, I had an accident. Now that taught me a business lesson of life. Don't do that. Don't go I think that is what is the uniqueness that you're offering? Are you then giving one insight from the accident that you had in the morning, or the doodh wala did not come and that gave you a business idea? Wo chhodkar then again. But absolutely right that if you are LinkedIn is growing, and for the business community, absolutely spot on. Very interesting space. Yeah.
Hey, Akash.
Yeah.
Good to see you outside the YouTube space from my eyes, right?
Same here.
For the first time. Okay, I'm just going to talk about my experience and my dilemma, nothing else. So basically, I'm running quite a decent show since last 11 years. Of course, not to the level of Elon Musk and all, of course. And that's my dilemma, right? So recently, we got a marketing team in my organization. So I run IT services, IT products and all. So I'm a founder, I'm a director as well.
Sure.
Recently, we hired a marketing team. They've been pushing me to come on YouTube, right? To show my presence, show what the director looks like, how he talks, how he presents himself. It's a good idea. I can talk, I can meet people, I can greet people. So it's a good thing for me.
Sure.
But social media, of course, being a director, I can't be like making funny faces online. I can't be talking nonsense. Of course, you would know something silly would sell, making me dance, right, or do something crazy will sell, or something intelligent like on a different level of Elon Musk and all those people you talked about, where there's a value, a big value. We sitting in the middle, what I've experienced, like I said, every time I'm in a green room thinking about what should I go and build and talk about something. So I can stand with a posture and say something about some service and whatnot, but that's not going to attract anything. Till the time I reach a level where I start showing value on a bigger scale. And then it becomes like all the big names you talk about, the directors of Airtel and all those people, right? So you become that, I mean, you reach that level and then suddenly people will start recognizing you.
Sure.
Not to the level where I'm in right now, where, like I said, if I post all the educative videos and anything interesting, not interesting, but technical. And like I said, I can't move much on the video because it will make me look silly, right?
Sure.
So I should not.
Sure.
So it won't attract a lot of attention to my profile. So it becomes a very tedious, very kind of a I mean, you have to put a lot of thinking into it to understand how to reach. But again, it depends on what kind of. Another funny thing is, I never wanted to come online as well because it's a very open platform. People can come in and anybody can come in. If my company fires anybody, they can come and shout at me as well.
Correct.
In the comment section, right? So I can say it's like this guy never gave me a salary, and they fired me. So it's going to hit me back as well. So negative about it, but like I said, I'm very conscious about how to take the foot forward. But I'm just talking about my journey. That's in the middle ground. It's very, I would say, it's not that easy to really put a mark.
Are you looking at? Are you looking at instant traction or you're looking at sustained growth?
See, for personally, instant attraction, because like I said, I'm very good at, I would really want to really have the followers and I can really build a brand around myself as well, which I'm very assured of. But like I said, the requirement of the business is that I should be the face representing the company and the brand. And
So,
it should not go beyond a level, right?
So, you know, people ask, कि अरे Akash, ठीक है, you are 5 million plus, but there are others who have grown so fast on YouTube. तो I'm like, यार उनको उनका growth मुबारक हो, क्योंकि मैंने तो I started in satire. I didn't even start on news. I started news satire. The day I got my 1 million gold button, मेरा तो गधा जन्म सफल हो गया था. That was my ultimate. Everything on top of that is meva, is the bonus. So I think you have to be very clear, what do you want out of your social media journey? Your question is absolutely spot on. You will come, you will give you will give specific information, you will give high value information, but then you will not dance, you will not say anything which is derogatory, you will not coin anything which is dogla, you will not do any Insta reels where you're dancing, then फिर traction कैसे आएगा? Believe you me, the lesson that I have learned in my social media journey is that when you will do all of this, आपको traction थोड़े दिनों के लिए मिलेगा, लेकिन उसके बाद जो distraction होगा और destruction होगा, वो उससे ज़्यादा होगा. I think we have to all accept is that everybody's journey on social media is not going to be a hockey stick. There will be people who will be doing incremental gains. So I am very happy कि भैया थोड़ा थोड़ा गेन कर रहा हूँ, 50,000 1 लाख फॉलोअर एवरी मंथ आ जाते हैं, और कभी 2 साल में 3 साल में कभी एक 10 मिलियन फॉलोअर जब होगा तो एक डायमंड बटन मिल जाएगा. सोचा नहीं था लेकिन मिल जाएगा. Not in a hurry. I have seen destructive forces take over when you are in a hurry. What you should do, my small advice from a little bit of social media knowledge, and that's the only thing I can share with you, is build your brand on a very consistent, but on a very steady trot. But you have to deliver what you are specializing in. So if somebody says so and so, then you should be the market leader in that sort of knowledge. That is your domain and you know better than anybody else in that domain. On social media, when we try to do a little bit here and there, क्योंकि मैं traditional media से आता हूँ, तो एक channel में तो sports भी होता था, entertainment भी होता था, information भी होता था, weekend में lifestyle programming भी होता था. Doesn't work anymore on social media.
उसमें भी challenge है, right? Like I said, either you become an influencer by talking about something specific. For example, AI. I can pick up the news and articles and start talking about it. Like a lot of people are doing, people I know as well. And they're growing exponentially on that space, becoming an influencer about one particular topic they're picked in. So I can do that as well, for example, but that doesn't define or give a value to the brand that I'm referring to.
It doesn't. So, and
so that's a
this
choice.
AI is a very good example. Yes. What is happening is, आप AI में passionately invested नहीं हो, ना कि आपका brand AI में है, but you have spotted a trend and you're latching onto that trend. But the problem is there are 500 people who have also latched onto the trend. And when you will make 2-3 mistakes, your 2-3 mistakes will be piled on and you will be told that यार ये तो गलत आदमी है, ये तो ठीक बोल ही नहीं रहा है. And anyways, it's not going to help your brand. So slow, steady, consistent growth is a way on social media. Virality is overestimated, over-respected, overhyped. Virality का मतलब ये नहीं होता है that indefinitely आप strong रहोगे. I mean, इसमें एक छोटा सा example देता हूँ because I keep talking to Dhruv Rathi a lot and he's at a 25 million at this point of time. But what people forget is he started in 2014. And he has only consistently grown. It has never been a hockey stick. While I can name you 10 influencers who went from 0 to here doing a kacha badam, but then they don't have a future. So I have never seen somebody exist for more than 5 years, 6 years, and has gone up on a hockey stick and then has been able to sustain it. So I would be absolutely confident. I will not question myself. I will hammer and keep hammering till I build myself in the zone I want to be in and be the domain leader there online. फिर वाइन पियेंगे हाँ
आपको जल्दी वाइन पे बात करनी
We'll
है?
get intoxicated with you.
please please
So,
I'm enjoying it.
I'm just going to build on that question of scope that I asked, and I think you answered that very well of saying, hey, keep narrow as a business leader, right? I want to ask two more questions again on the scope. And one is, you mentioned how do you get wide audience. I'm actually interested in exactly the opposite. I want to get very narrow audience. How do you do that? And second, from a frequency standpoint, one thing that prevents, at least me and perhaps others like me, is I can think about what I'm going to do for the next 1 month on social media. But I can't post something every second day. So what is kind of the minimum viable frequency on a Twitter, for example?
Yeah, that's very, very, we deal with this question every day. I'll answer the first question first. So how would you get the audience that you really want? For us, and I'll give you a small example. Now, can we get more audience by making our thumbnail into Hindi? Can we get more audience by becoming a little bit more sensationalist? Can we get more audience by doing some paid, arranged interviews? All the answers are yes. But we said, nahi, हमारे पास global audience hai. So, amongst channels that are doing news, Deshbhakt has a lot of international audience also. 20% of our audience is international. Why? Because our Hindi is not hardcore. Our Hindi is more urban. So when I look at YouTube statistics, even within India, Delhi and Bombay are the cities that listen to us most. While a Ravish or an Ajit Anjum would have more Hindi heartland audience. So do we want to go broad? No, I'm happy. And also why? Because my international audience is going to give me more revenue. Because international is, US would be 4x. So I know that I am narrowing it. I am not broadening. I will not be able to compete with the Ravish, for example, in India. No matter, I mean, he's come in later and he's double our size because he is huge. He carries a reputation, he carries a name. People love him, hate him, whatever, but they watch him. So I'm narrowing. Now, he was broadcasting 2 episodes a week. Coming to your frequency question. Now, we were very sure of where we want to be. We are urban, we are English, we have an international audience, but how frequently do we broadcast? Earlier we were doing, when we started Deshbhakt, it was once in 2 weeks, then it became once in a week, then it became 3 days. Now we are striving for daily. Today's episode can't go because I'm here. It's tough, but frequency matters. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but you have to decide what is the kind of frequency you have to set yourself for. Yes, algorithm respects frequency. So I am not saying that you have to post daily or every hour, but whatever frequency you are comfortable with on a long haul, you should choose that. It could be once a month, not once a month. It could be once a week for a long format content. It could be every alternate day for a tweet. But repeat that consistency and the algorithm will give you, because I'm giving you real life examples of doing it daily or every alternate day for 3 months and suddenly there is a crisis, I'm not able to post for a week. The algorithm actually punishes you. You go down and you have to work the double to come back up. Because the algorithm says, hey, you're missing. Okay, niche. Ye fact hai. But whatever you are comfortable with, so we are now getting comfortable, we've built the team and the editors, that we are getting comfortable with a daily episode. It does result in a little bit of loss of quality, but we are balancing that because what is happening is people are saying we want the news. So we will give the news, maybe the spit and polish will be a little less, the editing and the graphics will be a little, the information will still be high quality. So that's the balance that you'll have to strike. Once in 2 days, once in 3 days, information agar aapke paas acha ho, high value information. And one more thing then I would like to share. Your tweet, anybody should not be able to pick 6 months down the line and make fun of you. We avoid doing predictions. Market niche jana wala to sabko malum tha. But now when we've done an episode, we have only listed the things that have already happened. 28 years में पहली बार 5 month down. 20 साल में FMCG stocks not being able to hold their own. India's worst performing currency in the Asian market. These are facts. होगा. अब नहीं हुआ तो फिर somebody is going to take out and say. So that is when you bulletproof your ideas also. Don't do crystal ball gazing. We have seen what has happened with Access India, for example. Oh, we are so expert, we can predict Indian elections. Really? You can predict Indian elections? Even AI and supercomputers will not be able to do that. And that's why there was reputational damage.
So Akash, I'll build on this daily piece that you spoke about. And my question to you is, there's so much that you can cover on your daily or even every 2 days episodes. How do you determine what content, whether to talk of the stock market or the Kumbh Mela or whatever? How do you determine content? And also, is the feedback mechanism that your audience is happy with what you chose, is that for real based on the data that you're able to get?
Okay, so first and foremost, this is not about me. This is actually the kind of feedback that you can get about your business. For example, this whole thing about company CEOs doing surprise check and random checks. What better feedback loop that you have is when people are abusing you left, right, and center. Either somebody's paid a bot to give you all abuses, or really your customer service is so bad that everybody's sitting and abusing you. So the feedback mechanism is, of course, you can't take everything on face value. So when we post something which is not cool or not going with the narrative, then obviously there is a lot of blowback. But remember one thing, and this I always say, a lot of people say, तुम्हें abuse से problem नहीं होता है, and I want to share this with everybody. Abuse problem नहीं है, abuse compliment है, abuse engagement है. Everything on social media is basically how many people are clicking, engaging, abusing. So even if they are abusing, they are engaging with you and you're becoming popular. So when people say that, oh, you are such a big loser, you're putting out this video, I don't say that in the comments because that will be letting the plan out. I'm like, as long as you are here and you're calling me a loser, I'm absolutely happy. So please remember, whatever content you will put out, business-wise or personal, you will have people abusing you. Internet and social media is not anyone where everybody is going, go for it, yeah, we want to see you become a unicorn. That's not the place. So that is as far as the feedback mechanism is concerned. Now, how do we take this feedback? What we do is we try to understand is where is the wind blowing and what the people are thinking and conversing. There are so many episodes that I can tell you. The recent episode of KIIT, the Nepali student who committed suicide. So we happen to have a lot of subcontinental viewers, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. And we had a huge number of people saying that Indian media is not taking up this issue. Can you make an episode of that? And we made an episode. And we didn't take too much time also. It was quickly made. And it cracked 3 million within 24 hours. So that is another example of understanding, filtering what people are commenting on, putting the abuse aside and just seeing that as engagement and seeing what genuine content is there and what people are asking for. There is a gold mine of information that you can get out of social media. What people are thinking about you, what people are thinking about your brand, but you have to be thick-skinned enough to separate the abuse, separate the noise. But there is a wealth of information otherwise. Also, you get somebody to do it. Get somebody proficient enough to understand, separate the noise and give you the core feedback of what people are talking about you and your brand. So I know exactly what people think. So earlier it was, oh, he's some party. So I said, oh, you think I'm some party? Then I went and hammered the other party that I was allegedly from. So now I am an agent and CIA. And then I am like, US aid ka paisa mila. So I said, US aid ke upar maine video bana diya. Now they are very confused कि यार ये तो US aid के ऊपर भी वीडियो बना रहा है, तो इसको कहाँ से मिलता है? तो मैंने शायद पेट्रियन से मिलता है. तुम लोगों को 3 साल से बता रहा हूँ, तुम लोग 5 साल से बता रहा हूँ, तुम लोगों को समझ में नहीं आता है. But you have to enjoy this process also. But it doesn't mean that you go out and say anything and destroy your reputation, which is very carefully built. You have to be on the right side, but you have to enjoy the process knowing that you're putting yourself out on social media. You will face attack. ये तो possible नहीं है that you will not face attack. Yeah, I'm sure there will 100 people, निखिल कामत को भी गाली बकने वाले हैं, दीपेंद्र को भी गाली बकने वाले हैं. The most successful companies will get abused also. ऐसा तो हो ही नहीं सकता है.
Wonderful. Absolutely. On
up,
that
up,
note, Akash, I think it was absolutely wonderful. If you put yourself out there, you're going to get bouquets like you get and you're going to get the big bats. May I invite Gautam Gandhi upon stage, please? Gautam, we would request you to please hand over a token of our affection to Akash. I'd request everybody to please stay in the hall because we want to take a group picture before we move out for what we have to move out for. And
Pleasure, sir, pleasure. Oh, then I owe a lot to you.